Welcome back, everybody. So glad you could be here with me today. Walter here at the table saw. Why am I at the table saw? Oh, I'm probably going to be using the table saw. But why else? What used to be here? That's not here anymore. Yep, Workbench is gone. It has a new caretaker. And I wish you all the best. So, when last we were talking about these trestles, which are now priority one to get built and done because I have to build myself a temporary workbench. We talked about the board stretcher, and I've been doing some thinking, but while I was doing some thinking, I did some planing here on the table saw. Now, it's an interesting, let me lay this down so you can see everything. A table saw, if you have a good table saw, this is an old 1940s era Delta Unisaw. It's got the original fence, all original equipment. The only thing that we've done so far was to upgrade the bearings in the 1 horsepower motor, which weighs 65 pounds. Now, the arbor has all its original bearings, but I do have complete kit to replace all of that. Whether I'll get to it or whether the next person will get to it, I don't know. So I had to do some planing. So no vise, no problem. Got myself a piece of thin wood, locked my rip fence down, bring my wood up against that stop, and plane away. So it makes for a good temporary work surface. However, make sure you don't put your plane down on the cast iron. This would be a good time to lay it on its side, or like me, just make sure you got plenty of shavings and set it down on the shavings. Now, I can tell you a lot of things not to do to your table saw. For instance, if you're going to use your table saw as a workbench or as a temporary work surface, don't clamp a piece of wood to it that you're going to route something into, because your router bit collet may not hold that router bit good and tight, and you end up plunging a 1/2 inch plunge bit into your cast iron. Not good for the bit, not good for the cast iron. So that has been there as a reminder for over 50 years. Now, another thing is people think cast iron is hard because when you drop a cast iron tool on concrete, it can break. A lot of people don't realize how soft cast iron can be. For instance, we've all seen hand planes where people take number stamps and letter stamps and they stamp in their name. Or like in the Miller's Falls brand, they would actually put the plane model number and the name Miller's Falls right on the casting. That should be an indicator to us that cast iron is soft-ish. So, tip number 2, do not use your cast iron tabletop as an anvil. You might think it's a good idea, but I have proof right here that it's not. Now, I would have thought right here has a lot of cast iron underneath here that this would not dent. but it dented and it dimpled. So don't use your table saw top as an anvil. I mean, you can if you want to, but you're going to damage it. Another thing you shouldn't do is leave your table saw unprotected in a damp workshop. So what that means is when you're done with your work, whatever it is you're doing, whether you're cutting, whether you're assembling, whether you're gluing, whatever, clean the metal off, polish it, wax it. In extreme cases, you're going to want to get a plastic or rubber cover over the whole top. All right. I've seen people make tabletops to cover their entire table saw so that they can use it as a glue surface, a place to glue things up. That's okay. So back to the trestles. I mean, I can go on and on and on about the table saw, but see, the table saw is a very unique tool. Yes, you can rip material to the same width over and over and over and over till the blade goes dull. I've done it countless numbers of times. I mean, I could put a number on it, but I couldn't prove that number. But after 50 years, let's see, almost 56 years in my possession, this saw has seen a lot of work. Now, a table saw will rip, it will cross-cut. You make a nice cross-cut sled. You can put big panels on here. You can make beautiful cross-cuts up to like about, well, cabinet width. If you build your cross-cut sled a little long and wide, you'd be out here, but you can do 24-inch wide cabinet sides. How do I know? I've built kitchens. That's how I know. Then you can create miter sleds for doing miters of whatever angle you need. I was making a lot of picture frames for a while, so I had a nice 45-degree miter sled that over the years took a beating and became waste. Should build another one. If you have a miter, a T miter, miter gauge, okay? You can make a lot of different things just using this. Understanding that this piece of steel may be sloppy in the slot, so there are ways to fix that, but I'm not going to get into it. There have been countless videos and books and articles written on the table saw. So you can do rips, you can do crosscuts, you can do miters, you can do compound miters. You can do moldings with a molding head. You can do dado housings, or housing dados, or housings, however, whatever terminology you'd like to use. You can make rebates. You can make grooves of all kinds, all right? It's a very useful, universal tool that cannot easily be replaced by any one tool. However, if you were to ask me if I would put the table saw as the #1 machine in the shop now versus 50 years ago, I would give you a different answer. More on that in another video. So, back to the trestles. So I got to thinking about the assembly, and I want to make this as painless as possible and as quick as possible. So I made the decision to take the verticals and attach them to the leg with a half lap. Okay? And I'm not sure which one is going to be on the outside, which one's going to be on the inside. I haven't decided that for appearance sake. I think I'm going to put the half lap on the inside so that from the outside it looks like a tenon. Then on top, there was going to be a notch. That notch will probably be done on the bandsaw. Okay? It's just two stop cuts, and Bob's your uncle. Chisel it out. And then, of course, the only mortise and tenon that I'm going to actually do is going to be the through mortise and tenon here. That will probably be done mostly on the drill press, cleaned up with a chisel. So that's my game plan. Wish me luck. So let me know what you think. Is the table saw a good substitute for a workbench top temporarily in a small workshop? For me, it is. And as soon as I can get away from it, I will. But I can't tell you how many pieces of work I have done before I had a large work surface. See, almost every place that this machine has been, one of the first things I would build is an offshoot table, an off-feed table, so that when you're ripping something, it doesn't just fall on the floor. I have this aversion to picking things up off the floor. Maybe that's why my back hurts so much, because it's just too many times you're picking stuff off the floor. So that off-feed table would then become my glue-up surface, etc. And if I built it big enough, I could still work on the off-feed table and still rip work to size. So that came in handy, but those were pretty big open spaces that I had them in. Let me know your thoughts. And if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, leave them down in the comment section. But until next time, head out to your shop. Go make some shavings. Walter out.